Regarding raising children, this is a very important point, child development. Of course, most householders have children, devotees also. They must be raised in Krishna consciousness. Once again, turn off the television set. My observation is that these days, parents all over the world, not just devotee parents, but including devotee parents, unfortunately, have become very, very lazy in parenting. They don't train the children properly. They must be trained. Srila Prabhupada indicated from the very early ages of life. A 5-year-old child, for example, is the age for training. If you wait and think, well, I'll train them when they're 16 years old, forget it. It's not going to happen. By the time they're 16 years old, they're very, very set in their ways, and the values given by mom and dad appear to them to be old-fashioned because they're old. All their friends are going to McDonald's and KFC, these kind of things. And so, well, Mom, you're so old-fashioned. Come on, you know, get with the modern times. This attitude develops in teenagers, the classic teenage rebellion syndrome. It happens with devotees also. And if they're not trained at the earliest age, then by the time they are teenagers, for the parent devotees who want their children to be grow up as devotees, it'll be heartbreaking. I talk to a lot of parents who have older children who are, you know, post-teen. They're already in their 20s and so on. They're heartbroken because children in many cases are not very interested in Krishna consciousness. Well, whose fault is that? Because the parents did not raise them properly. If somebody's saying, what should I do? I say, well, you should have raised your children properly from the very beginning. I used to be a married man, and I have a daughter who's 40 years old now, happily married in California, thousands of kilometers away. And I raised her up when she was a little girl, only 5 years old. I used to sit down and read Krishna book stories. And as a child, she was thrilled. They enjoy hearing Krishna's pastimes more than many adults. So I would change the big words to little words and make it digestible and interesting and fun. I would add sound effects as much as possible. I would act it out a bit since I'm an actor. And in this way, she really enjoyed hearing Krishna book stories. Then if a few days went by and I did not read any story, she would come up to me and say, Pita, read me a story. She's only 5 years old. But some parents think, oh, they're so young. They're so young, you know, they won't understand, or it's too much philosophy for themselves. Nonsense. No, it's not so. And there are adventure stories in the Bhagavatam also. Raise after children with kirtan, bhajan, teach them. A lot of little boys especially, but nowadays I see little girls also like to play mridanga. Now you can easily get them imported from India, child size, very small, medium small, small, etc. Different sizes of mridanga for little boys. And some girls, they want to play mridanga also. And we used to use, they weren't available previously by import from India, so devotees used to take, for the small children, they used to take an oatmeal box, you know, those round oatmeal box in the West, and it's about, one quarter of a meter in length and in a round box, cardboard box, and they would put a strap on it, and the little boy they would just play it as a mridanga. So if you can't get a child's mridanga, you get one of those, but they are available by order now, by mail order. You can get one from India. So this kind of thing, give them Krishna conscious. There are Krishna conscious cartoons like the Little Krishna series. There are even available from ITV India, ITV Touchstone Media in India, and ITV in the United States produced in the early 80s. They produced many puppet shows for children. There's other Krishna conscious content that you can give them so that they will stop watching television. But if you just take the lazy route, put them in the back room so they're not in your hair this is the modern parenting attitude. Just put it in the back room with television and video games, and then I can have my peace of mind. Why? So I can sit down and watch television. You see, this is going on. This is, you'll pay for it later with heartache when your children don't become Krishna conscious. Invest. Invest in your children like people take money and they put it in the bank to earn interest. Invest in your children. That means time. The non-devotees, sociologists, psychologists, they call it quality time, isn't it? That's what they call it. That's a professional term. So do it. Don't neglect your children and expect that they're going to become devotees, or even fine human beings for that matter. At least your child should grow up with moral values, aesthetic values, integrity, truthfulness, and other universal qualities that human beings should have. But unless you give them quality time in the early years going up, so that by the time they're 12, 13 years old, they don't go into this anti-parent mode, because unfortunately they're heavily under the influence of the peer group. Their friends, so-called friends, are actually their enemies, because their so-called friends are telling them, you still listen to your mom and dad? Oh man, you're so old-fashioned. Come on, man. These are modern times now. You know, just do your thing. Do what you want to do. Don't listen to your parents. They're out of touch with our way of life. And they're hearing poison like this. And so they download it and they take their children as their friends, so-called friends, they take as their guru. And they listen more to their friends than to their parents. But the modern parents are oblivious. They're out of it. They don't realize this is going on. They're naive. They think that their parents have so much regard for them, you know. So you have to compensate this by having a full, rich Krishna conscious program at home. Hare Krishna.